Sagittarius, and welcome to Mumbai, India. This is Priya Kale, your astrologer, and the moon is currently in Sagittarius, and the sun is in its final degree of Sagittarius. And we're moving towards the Capricorn new moon. Well, the solstice, the sun enters Capricorn in just a few hours, marking the solstice, and then immediately after, we have the Capricorn new moon at 0 degrees of Capricorn. But before that, Uranus stations direct in just a few hours while the sun is still in Sagittarius. So we have a huge blast of fiery energy coming forward, and we're just propelling us forward into this new cycle. Perhaps most significantly, what I want to talk to you about today is Saturn's ingress and transit in Sagittarius. We're in Saturn's last few days in Scorpio as I record this, and Saturn enters Sagittarius on the 23rd of December and will remain in Sagittarius until, well, 2017, but Saturn will return to Scorpio for a brief period next year in 2015 between June and September. And then it re-enters Sagittarius and will continue its transit in Sagittarius until 2017. Now, this is the first time that Saturn is changing signs in the past over 2 years. And this is big. This is significant. And Saturn's transit through Scorpio has changed the landscape of all of our lives in a very personal way. Scorpio represents death, transformation. And we've seen, especially if you look at your natal chart, or depending on what sign you are, wherever Scorpio falls in your chart, that area of your life, the relationships and situations in your life have gone through deep changes, perhaps irreversible changes. And now, with Saturn entering Sagittarius, we're entering a whole new road and a whole new journey. Sagittarius is the sign that represents journeys. It's a sign that comes after Scorpio, so it's a sign that speaks of life after death. It's the resurrection. Sagittarius represents astrologically God, everything international, everything beyond boundaries, the higher mind. If Gemini, the opposite axis, is the mind, then Sagittarius is the higher mind. Sagittarius is the arrow. The symbol of Sagittarius is an arrow. It's the arrow that's always shooting forward to the horizon. It's a futuristic sign. It's a sign that has foresight. It's ruled by Jupiter. So it's a sign that represents God, or what we know of God. It represents religion, spirituality, higher education, high courts, law. And then Saturn. Saturn itself is a gateway. Saturn is the master. Saturn is the teacher. Saturn asks that we humble ourselves so we can be elevated. Saturn also represents structure, boundaries, limitations. And now as it enters Sagittarius, Sagittarius can be it's a fire sign. It's the third fire sign. And it's a mutable fire sign. Aries being the first cardinal fire sign, Leo being the second fixed fire sign, and then you have Sagittarius, the mutable fire sign. So it's the fastest moving out of the three in a sense. But Saturn now entering Sagittarius, there's going to be a definite sense of having to slow down in an area of your life. It's kind of like there's construction on the road, or a roadblock asking you to go slow. And where there is a roadblock, there are other roads open. And something that feels like a detour right now, trust that your journey is the destination, and you are learning what you need to know. And talking about the sign that represents God, we're learning that there is a higher plan in motion, a higher divine plan in motion that we may not always be able to see. And if you're not, and anytime you find yourself feeling stuck, or like you're stuck in a traffic jam, that's your cue to ask yourself what a particular moment or situation is here to teach you. Saturn again is the teacher, and Sagittarius too is ruled by Jupiter, which is another teacher, also or Jupiter as it's referred to in Vedic astrology is Guru. Guru represents a teacher, a master. So here you're having two signs, Sagittarius and Saturn. They're two signs of mastery, the Saturnian impulse and this Jupiterian impulse, where Jupiter will leap before it can see what's beyond the horizon, because that's Jupiter. Whereas Saturn, which rules Capricorn, where we have the new moon right now, is a sign that comes after Sagittarius. So in a sense, what we're doing right now, we're surveying this landscape and this whole new world that we find ourselves in. And these past 2 years of Saturn and Scorpio have shown us the darker side of life, the darker side of humanity, but also the fragility of life and these moments that we share in the flesh. How have we grown and evolved through our experiences? But with Saturn now in Sagittarius, Saturn being the sign, the planet that rules Capricorn, ask yourself, to what end? You're freed. Sagittarius is also the sign that rules freedom. So you're free to explore your options. And in fact, it's necessary that you explore your options. But ask yourself, to what end? Because this is a journey that leads to Capricorn. 2.5 years later, Saturn is going to enter Capricorn, which is its home sign. So we are on a journey, but it's a journey of manifesting a vision. This is what liberation really means, is you are free to make any choice, but you have to make those choices in awareness that every choice has a consequence, and every choice does lead you further down along a road. And is that road ultimately leading you to your destination? And then rather than having a fixed goal, how do you explore the world while keeping rooted in your humanity and then trusting that you will be guided? It's about listening to that inner compass, or learning to tune into that inner compass, where you're not giving away your power to external authority figures necessarily, but you're working to live up to your highest ideals and your humanity. This is really a search for a higher meaning and a higher truth. And this is about searching for a higher truth about yourself, who you are, and trying to manifest the best that you can be, trying to manifest your highest potential, which means, again, learning to stretch your boundaries and open your mind and go a little further than you might normally. At some point, you have to commit to a path so you can move forward. Now, over the next 6 months, as Saturn moves through Sagittarius before it returns to Scorpio briefly, and when it returns to Scorpio, we'll be recovering the territory that we've been in about through December. So there is a sense that having been through these first 6 months we'll have learned some lessons, and we have a chance to come back and make a few final adjustments. But the best thing we can do right now as we enter this new world, and it is a new world, is to enter it with no preconceived notions, and to enter it with a willingness to learn, which requires humility, which requires an open mind. One thing that you can watch for is how not to be, because Saturn and Sagittarius can both be fairly judgmental, and being judgmental will only close you off to recognizing a greater reality. And the thing is, nobody really wants to be judgmental, but we do it unknowingly. And then it requires that humility. It's more than likely that we will see more fundamentalists, religious fundamentalism through this transit. We're also likely to see international laws being put into place more and more. So everything to do with perhaps more international coalitions, laws surrounding international travel. I know I'm jumping a little bit here, but we're having to see the world as one. We don't know it all, and we can never know it all. We're also about to learn that there are no shortcuts to success. anything you want to build, it's something that you work for. And success, really, this is a chance to redefine success depending on what it means to you, because otherwise all the success in the world would feel hollow. Success really is the fruit of your labor and hard work. It's not the goal. It's going to take hard work, and it's going to be a long road ahead, and it's going to be a journey, but as long as you're willing to commit to a path and walk that path, and knowing that the higher you get, the more perilous your journey gets. So sometimes what you see as a roadblock may actually be protecting you from falling off a cliff. So don't resent anything that seems to limit you. Just be willing to learn. Ask yourself what you can learn in that moment and what that situation is teaching you again. I've said this before, but I'm saying it again, because really this whole transit is all about that search for a higher meaning, that seeking a higher truth. We're also going to be exposed more and more to other cultures, to foreign cultures. People from other cultures will be more significant in your life. You'll be connecting with people from other cultures and from other countries and from a very different world than you, who perhaps speak a different language than you and who come from a very different background than you. And we're all having to break down our boundaries and our perceptions so that we can learn something about another. And ultimately what we're doing by stretching our boundaries in such a way is we're learning about our own humanity, having to consciously be aware of our own structures and belief systems so we can go beyond them and learn about a greater world. And in that we grow. What is it in your life that holds the highest meaning? It's like your calling's calling you now, and it's your duty to hear that call. And if anything, this transit is asking you to heed that call and to follow that call, because only you can manifest what you came here to manifest on this earth. Nobody else can. And it's not everybody's role to be the President of the United States. But that doesn't make you or your role any less significant in this world, because the whole would not be the whole without you in it. And you're here right now for a reason. And it's not your place to judge what that reason is. It's just up to you to manifest and live up to your best. And only you know what that is. And this is not about you, again, judging anybody else or yourself. Just being the best you can be, and then learning from, whatever even that you feel are your so-called mistakes. Even those have something to teach you. So Saturn in Sagittarius really is like that lighthouse right now, asking you to keep sight of a goal, a compass. Rather, keep sight of your light and your higher consciousness, and allow it to guide you even when it seems like there's no road ahead. This is about you embodying your highest consciousness, so you can start to manifest your best. And then success is not something there are no guarantees in life. Perhaps one of the biggest lessons that we have to learn here is that the world doesn't owe us anything. If anything, this life that we've been given is a gift. And the question is, what can we bring back to life? What can we give back to life? And as Saturn moves to Sagittarius, let your life be that search for a higher meaning. Be willing to learn, and you'll grow. You'll grow not only in wisdom, but you'll grow in your own humanity. And really, that's all we're here for. Another saying comes to mind with this transit. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And there may be people coming into your life now who are teachers and who are masters and who can help you along your path and who can be that This is also about you learning to, yes, humble yourself so you can grow, but at any given point to recognize that only to never give away your power to someone else. You've learned those lessons with Saturn and Scorpio. So yes, you can respect authority and you can respect boundaries. But at the same time, don't forget that your humanity is more important than any rules. So, and that's something that only you can decide for yourself. Because ultimately you have to live with yourself. So you can, Sagittarius is also the sign that represents truth and honesty. And Pluto is in Capricorn, where the ruler of Saturn. So we're all being asked to stand up to our own integrity. And integrity, I was actually once watching The Dog Whisperer, and he said this, and it made sense to me. And he said integrity is when our actions follow our words. So, do you live your truth? Are you living your truth? Because above all, that's the message of this transit of Saturn and Sagittarius, is to have the courage to live our truth and take that step forward. So I'm sure I'll have more to say, and I think I'm going to record a part 2 to this video, but I really wanted to get at least one video out while the sun was still in Sagittarius. So this is it for now. I'm going to stop here because I wanted to keep this relatively short, but I think I've gone on as usual. But yeah, I'll be back with more. Again, we're nearing the Capricorn new moon now, over the next 24 hours. And that's another reason that, actually I'll talk about this in the next video of Saturn and Sagittarius probably, but that's another reason why this ingress is so significant, because Saturn returns to a sign once every 28 to 30 years. So the last time Saturn was in Sagittarius was about 30 years ago, in 1984. Do see themes repeat. So if you can look back to your life and see what was going on in about 1984, 85, you will see some of the themes that were playing out, and look at how you've grown over these past 30 years, if you are old enough to look back, and how you want to make different choices now as you enter this new 30-year cycle. Things play out as they did the last time Saturn was in Sagittarius, but you are different and no two moments are alike, and that's why the aspects surrounding the ingress give us so much insight into that particular transit, and which is why this Capricorn new moon, just 2 days before the Saturn into Sagittarius ingress, Saturn being the ruler of Capricorn, is so significant, because what we're planting now, the seeds we're planting now, they have, an oak tree grows out of an acorn, and what you're planting right now at the time of this Capricorn new moon is equal to that. Something small could have massive consequences, bigger than you can imagine right now. And what's needed is not some attachment to a goal or success or any selfish or self-serving motive. This is something that is bigger than you. This is your gift to the world. This is you being the best you can be, so that can ripple out into your world and then consequently the world. The power of what's unfolding now at the time of this new moon and what you're setting into motion, because consequences will be a lot more far-reaching than you think at the moment. And so it's even more important that you proceed with awareness. And this is not so you are afraid of anything, but more importantly that what you do does and is making a real difference. So do the best you can. So the more consciously you can act and make your choices, the more effective they will be, and the further you can go with something. And yes, again, it will be a long road to get somewhere, and it will take your commitment to a path or a goal, but still at this Capricorn new moon, at the time of the Saturn's ingress into Sagittarius, suggests that you can gain a lot of momentum and actually see a lot of rapid progress. So trust whatever's unfolding now is setting you on a journey on a whole new journey, asking you to explore new horizons. And you may not know it all, but as long as you're open, you'll learn what you need to know. You've seen the darker side of life, and now we're moving beyond it. So yes, there is hope. There is a new road forward, but we still have to take that first step into the unknown. Yes, there are doors closing, but there are no new doors opening. And Saturn above all represents that gateway and that threshold. And you are stepping over this threshold now. So enter with awareness and be wise. And you can be guided where you need to go. There you have it. And I'll be back with more soon. In the meanwhile, do check out my blog. I've written a blog on these last few days of Saturn and Sagittarius. And if you haven't read the monthly overview, I'd recommend you do that as well. So check back in with the blog, and I'll be back with another video, hopefully before the new year, with a glimpse on 2015, which is looking to be a very exciting year with 3 Venus and Mars conjunctions, and it's very passionate and very fertile. And we're also going to see the last Uranus-Pluto square. So we've been in a hell of a transition over the past few years, and it's almost like there's a party and a celebration waiting on the other side. So more on that. Stay tuned. Thank you as always for listening and liking the videos and subscribing to the channel and reading the blog and all your encouragement. I wish you a very, very happy holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye bye for now. Ta-da for now.